I don't fit in no box, I built my own lane. Truth's my compass and passion's my flame. One day it's love, the next it's news. Sometimes it's pain, sometimes it's the blues. I react, I reflect, I keep it 100. No scripts, no gimmicks, just thoughts unbundled. So if you feel truth, if real is what you seek, you just found home. Welcome to Miss Akemi.
Hey y'all, peace and blessings. Come on in, come on in. We're going to talk about some shit tonight. Come on in the room. Hit that like button when you come in. I want y'all to engage in the chat. You're going to have something to talk about. Promise you. So I appreciate everybody for coming on through. I know it's late. It's late for me too, but I truly appreciate you gracing me with your presence at this hour, because you could be doing anything, including sleeping, but you're choosing to be here. So yeah, come on in, come on in. Peace to the chat. We got sis, your thoughts in the building. Always. She always supporting, always right there. Always just, that's my girl right there. Laverna Shirley all day. DT, just I appreciate you. I appreciate you always being the first in the room, in the building, and you always showing love. Thank you so much. We got Bobby girl Tina in the midst tonight. Thank you for coming on through, BGT. I always say that's my twin light bright. We both biracials up in here, so it is what it is, right? Listen, in the midst. That's right, in the midst. I appreciate y'all. Listen, I thought I had, okay, so yeah, I just got to turn it up a little bit. I got you. Let me know if that's too loud. I don't want the music to overpower my voice. What you got devil ears in the chat for? Listen. Can you put a 1 in the chat if my signal is clear, my voice is clear, everything is, no choppiness, none of that. Everything is flowing as it should. Somebody let me know something. Appreciate y'all. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So listen, y'all. I'm gonna have some transparency going on. I'm gonna give my opinion. And I'm gonna make some disclosures before I get off into my thoughts, right? Got your thoughts in the building. So Mr. Kimmy gonna give you my thoughts on some things. And I just want, the first disclaimer I want to make is that this message is not directly positioned for any particular person. I think it's multiple different entities in personal lives and as well on these YouTube streets for everybody to at least to gain something from what is being said, because that's my whole purpose. My whole purpose is always to try to come and just in my own way, give some perspective, give my perspective, and if it don't matter to you, that's fine, but somebody be willing to hear it and it will benefit someone. So that's who I'm talking to, right? Those that are open to receive. The second disclaimer is that we all have a right to our opinions. We all have a right to convey how we truly feel without always being categorized or judged or put into a group, right? Not every difference of opinion is an insult. It could just be my thoughts, plain and simple. On this apparatus, we are all grown. We're all adults, at least the ones that I'm in the midst of. Pay our own bills, you know what I'm saying? Sustain our own families. We do grown people shit, right? So I think it throws us sometimes when you're in the midst of a lot of grown people, but you got grown people acting or making decisions as a child. And we can't progress. We can't progress like this. We can't, not collectively anyway. And there is strength in numbers, always. We have to understand that sometimes when people have disagreements, and that's what I'm speaking on. I'm speaking on the topic, and it's going to be multidimensional, but I'm speaking on the topic of differences and disagreements without making enemies. When did it become okay for instant fights or beefs to come about because people have differences of opinion? Again, this is not directed at anybody in particular, but I find the topic relevant and it's been resonating in my spirit. So now I have to talk about it. Again, a lot of things that we do isn't for ourselves. It's whether you're on purpose, whether you're being moved to do certain things through your higher power of your understanding. That's where, it is what it is. Now, for me, relationships are very, very important. I'm very selective about my relationships. I'm very particular about my relationships. I vet my relationships, which means I just don't jump into not authentic relationships that I invest in substantially. But because I do, I take them seriously. And to me, relationships matter more than the need to win. Everything about relationships doesn't have to be based off of a competition. There has to be some sense of vulnerability in true relationships of any dynamic. You have to be willing to be vulnerable. And if you are not, and it's not reciprocated, then there's work to do in order to classify it as a relationship. We have to, at some point, if not totally remove pride, we have to at least leverage it. You can't have so much of it that it's a detriment to you and everybody connected to you. Because guess what? Now you're making decisions based off of pride. Therefore, the relationship seems to be more transactional. When you incorporate anything outside of just being your authentic self and doing it. And I'm talking about relationships on every level. This is a blueprint and a system that is going to benefit relationships no matter what the origin of them are. Another point that I would like to at least bring to the forefront, and something that I've learned in my own life, is that just because you understand somebody does not make it mandatory that you agree with them. You don't have to agree with someone and say that you don't understand. You can have understanding and y'all not looking at the same, or your viewpoints aren't identical, or they don't even align. You could just totally disagree, but there can still be understanding. I want somebody to put to put in the chat. Or one, if you have ever ended a relationship just because of a disagreement. And a two, if you've never done it. A one, if you have ever ended any type of a relationship just because y'all disagreed. I have. And later I realized it was my loss. It's not in every situation or in every circumstance. But in my case, I felt like I jumped the gun. And who was I besides hypocritical? Because we've all done it. If you really want to tell the truth. There are a lot of sayings. You know, I think a lot of times we have our elderly and our ancestral lineage, call them old fashioned, say it's outdated, the principles and the way that they live their life doesn't apply to how, people are living here currently to date, 2025. That of the old doesn't have any bearing on the new, when nothing could be further from the truth. But as I was maturing, nobody could tell me that. Thought I knew everything. I thought I knew everything at 13. Smelling myself. That could not be further from the truth. I find that a lot of very wise young people were either raised by their grandparents or they spent a lot of time and had very close relationships with their grandparents to where their grandparents invested in them. That's why I think a lot of times you come across people and they say, "Oh, you got an old soul. You got an old soul." Chances are they were raised around some old souls. Being around Laverne, aka Your Thoughts, she gives me a lot of her sayings that her family, has been passed down for generations. And I have to ask her, what you say? Say that again a lot of the times, but then she'll break it all the way down. And one thing that I have realized and come to know is that there's significance in all of them. And just because they were created hundreds of years ago or less or more, give or take, doesn't mean that they hold less value in today's society just because certain things have changed. I want to go down a list, and y'all feel free to type in the chat some old sayings that could relate to the topic of disagreements. One of the sayings that come to mind is you got too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Too many individual egos, but not enough teamwork. I think that can be translated into 2025. What you think? Don't cut off your nose to spite your face. AKA, don't let pride make you act against your own interests. What you eat don't make me ish. That part. If everyone does a little, no one will have to do a lot. Ooh, I like that one. Come on now. If everyone does a little, no one will have to do a lot. You know what that rings to me? That rings tribal. That rings community. That rings cohesiveness. That rings family. Who is everyone? One person is singular. Every indicates plurality. Let's keep going. Come on, Salaya. One monkey don't stop no show. Ain't that the truth? And that can be applicable in many different types of situations. That's fine. I got you. I said it. Look, we on the same page. Definitely don't stop no show. Come on now. Bought sense is better than borrowed sense. That way you ain't got to owe nobody. You ain't got nobody looking at you for a return because it's been paid in full. How about this one? Pride goes before a fall. Pride goes before a fall. I interpret that as arrogance will be your downfall. If you're haughty, if you are the most important thing that matters at all times, in my opinion, you're prideful. Peace and blessings to the chat. If I don't call you by name, I'm in my bag. Don't take it personal. You already know. I appreciate y'all. Super chats are available. If you feel inclined. Look, that's it and that's all. I appreciate y'all. No man is an island. No man is an island. Again, that rings tribal. Again, that rings community. Again, that rings family. Again, that rings cohesiveness. Because one man can't make no island. It's too much. Not enough going on. Can't do nothing just by yourself. Getting old is a blessing, but it sure can be inconvenient. It can, but it's not always. If I had to do it all over again, I would still probably value am going through that portion of the process of my journey. I would probably value out the gate this time in this season of my life the most. I wouldn't trade anything. I am who I am today because of my journey, everything that I've been through. Getting old is a blessing, but it sure can be inconvenient. There's so much I could say about that, Takara, but that's another rabbit hole. My attention span ain't that good this late. I'm gonna think of a couple more, and we gonna shift a little bit, right? One that comes to mind for me as well is united we stand and divided we fall. United, we stand. Divided, we fall. When you go to war, it should be for purpose, not for pride. I'm going to say that again. When you go off into survival mode and there is a need for war, whatever angle you coming from, maybe all inclusive, it should be for purpose. Pride should be nowhere in that. A lot of us move in fear of being hurt, of being betrayed, of being let down, of being abandoned. So it seems easier to not be around anybody, not let anybody get too close to you. I look at the specifically cats. And I've never owned a cat. I never understood them, so I'm not gonna have nothing in my house I don't understand. Nothing personal. That's just, listen. It is what it is. Anything that's arching their back and hissing and shit, I'm good on that. I'd rather you bark at me. I understand that better than all of that little passive aggressive stuff that them cats be doing. But y'all excuse me. What I always say, listen, Linda, when it comes to the movement and the behavior of cats, I always sensed distrust. And that's just my personal experience. But it's fear-based. And it's okay if we don't like each other. It's okay if there's somebody that you don't agree with. Someone's presence that irritates you. But we can still be tolerant. It's not personal. We make it personal. Thank you, Salaya Binya. Wait a minute, I gotta highlight it. Says, DT in the chat said you can pay for school, but you can't buy class. Come on now. Ooh wee. Thank you so much for the super chat. And thank you even more for relaying that. I love that. I've heard that before, but it eluded me today. You can pay for school, but you can't buy class. Amen. Amen to that. Let me go back up here real quick and see if anybody I don't want to miss. I am my brother's keeper. Come on, yo. I am my brother's keeper. I just thought of one. My grandmother used to say, she would say, empty barrels make the most noise. Empty barrels make the most noise. A lot of people with the least amount of substance often cause the most disruption. What is that other saying? That if you are not part of the solution, then you are part of the problem, which means you're going to have to bring some value of some sort to the table. You just can't sit back idly by and let everybody else do the work. That ain't how the laws of the universe work. you gonna get out what you put in. Listen, I got this video. I wanna, because I can go deep and I get serious. Sometimes I don't know how to back up out of it. But I always love to hear other people's perspectives. So give me a second. I want to share this one little video. And I just want to listen to this woman's perspective, because in having disagreements and knowing how to properly handle them, you have to learn or be aware of what to do with conflict resolution. You got to seek conflict resolution, which means we still, at the end of the day, don't have to agree, but let's resolve it. Shout out to Biz and shout out to Clara for being able to resolve. Shout out to me and shout out to Miss SJ for the conversation that we were able, whether we agreed or disagreed, in my mind and in my spirit, there has been resolution. And I would also like to take this opportunity to offer an apology if I came off a certain way or was received a certain way to Miss SJ. And that's heartfelt. It's genuine. Right? Peaceful resolutions matter. So let me share my screen real quick. Y'all, you know, I got to get my life together. And then we're going to watch this little quick video. I'm not going to do a lot of commentating. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. Thank you for your patience, everybody. I think I did it. Yes. Okay. There's no sound. Okay, let's try this again. Oh my goodness. Hold on, y'all. I don't know why not. Can you hear me? Can you put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me? Okay, hold on. Okay, so let's try this one more time. When I play it, y'all put a 1 in the chat if you can hear it, okay? Please. 2 if you cannot.
The other day, I watched a YouTube video where a veteran came home to surprise his wife and young children. There were tears rolling down everyone's cheeks. The children were holding on to their father for dear life. Even the dogs were bouncing off the walls. There was so much compassion and love that I started crying too. And I don't even know these people. Your energy and emotions are contagious. We transfer our energy to each other all the time, for better or for worse, often without realizing it. Maybe you've seen how one grumpy coworker can sink the mood of an entire conference room of people, or how one energetic sports fan can get the whole table of people cheering for their team. These are just 3 examples of what I call energy transference. And when I say energy, I'm not talking about particles, radiation, or thermodynamics. I'm talking about energy, like your personal feelings, moods, and attitudes. The people around you can feel your positive energy.
And your negative energy. Energy is transferable, low vibrational to high vibration. It is all transferable.
And it can even shift their energy from negative to neutral, neutral to positive. And if you're upset, your negative energy can make others upset. I have seen how long-standing disputes have circled around the world endlessly, leaving so much pain and suffering. So I decided to go for my PhD in dispute resolution. I wondered if there were alternative ways to resolve conflict. So in my research, I interviewed 11 professional mediators and facilitators. They had decades of experience with major companies, governments, and family counseling. They all agreed that positive energy transference is an innate ability and a learnable skill, one that you can use in your daily life. Everyone can act as a mediator, whether it's in a formal mediation on a merger, a conflict with a coworker, an argument between friends or strangers.
That means any kind of relationship, on whatever level it's on, experiencing different types of dynamics. I'm saying nobody's excluded. If you consider yourself to be in a relationship, there will be energy transferred, good or bad, and you will get back what you put out. That is universal law.
Or even at home, in the middle of the kitchen floor, holding 2 children back as they throw punches at each other. So today, I'll tell you how to resolve conflicts, transferring energy, and using your positive energy. But first, a word of warning. To succeed, all parties of the conflict must want to work it out. In my first marriage, we went to a divorce counselor. And the first question she asked was, "Do you want to work this out?" I said, "No, not really." So she said, "Well, sorry, I can't help you." So we turned around and walked back out. So assuming that's not the case, here are 3 simple steps to unstick a conflict, move it forward using your positive energy, and come away with a peaceful resolution.
So, what she's saying, and I don't have to break it down any further than I just want to reiterate it. Both parties have to want it. It has to be mutual on that level. Both have to be open to resolving the conflict. And in some cases, in many cases, resolving a conflict means just something as simple as bygones be bygones, we're just going to move on. there are other things that can be done with more productivity, more positivity. You get down in the mud, it don't stink after a while. That's all I'm saying.
Step 1, prepare. One of the biggest mistakes you can make as a mediator is to jump right into a conflict when the emotions are high. Whenever possible, the best bet is to set a future date and time when the emotions and energy can settle and deflate, giving you the opportunity to get ready for the conflict and to start shifting positive energy into the mediation. For example, say your daughter wants to go bungee jumping, and dad says, "No way." So she comes to you and asks you if you can help her talk to him. You think it's a crazy idea to tie a rope around your ankles and jump off a 500-foot bridge. But you can't say that because you're the mediator. So this is what you do instead. You schedule a time that's convenient for everyone. You meet in the most comfortable room that has no distractions. You make sure that everyone has a glass of cold water. You meditate for a few minutes to eliminate outside distractions. This will allow you to focus, stay impartial, and bring your positive energy into the mediation. Step 2, diffuse and move forward. In step 2, you want to observe, listen, and ask questions.
Listen, we can't just slide past that. Step 2, observe. That means you can't do it with your mouth open. You can't do it anticipating what the person is saying and you just want to react or beat them to the punch. You got to observe, listen, and once you've done those 2, then you ask questions. You don't make assumptions. You don't think that you know what the other person is thinking. That's not your place. And then the questions that you ask, I don't even know if she's going to touch on this or not, but the questions you ask should not be confrontational. They should be a moment for pause to prepare your questions so you can look for a resolution and to agree when it's all, or to agree to disagree, either or, when it's all said and done.
To diffuse the conflict and move it towards a collaboration. Asking neutral questions will make people stop and think. During this pause will allow negative energy to start diffusing.
The word is pause. Time will diffuse a lot of things. Some people need a couple days. Some only need a couple of moments. It's up to you to know what you need so you can move accordingly and respond accordingly. Now, she's speaking from a mediator's perspective, a neutral perspective, but I love this because she is also making it very clear that everybody can benefit from this. From being a mediator, thinking and using and implementing the mediator system, plan, or, protocol, for lack of a better word, that will benefit no matter what capacity you're in, whether you feel that you've been victimized, whether you're a bully, or somewhere in between.
During that time, the negative energy and emotions will start deflating, and that'll give you time to shift positive energy into the conversation. For example, I was a project manager, and we were installing a major software system for payroll system. The contracts in the schedules were finalized, and the client requested a major change in the vendors. And this caused a heated conflict between the groups doing the work. Once you've prepared for the conflict, you have to sit down with all the major groups and start asking neutral and non-threatening questions. Ask questions like, well, how much will this cost and when can it get done? This will give you the intent that you're suggesting a collaboration.
And it will take out the emotion. It will extract the emotion. If you're looking at it from a logical standpoint, I always say to people, I'm a numbers girl. I'll communicate almost anything in the form of numbers. That's my language. I understand numbers very well. I can't remember names to save my life. I'd have been gone a long time ago if God didn't give me grace for that. But when it comes to numbers, I can communicate almost anything in numbers. But that will extract the emotion if you're presenting facts, if you're presenting logic, if you're presenting ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, something that is very standard, well-known, uniform, and a baby can identify with it, right? Layman's terms, basically.
And you're going to ask, what do you think about this new change? This will help people diffuse and feel like they
Let me
are
rewind it just a little bit so I
validated.
don't break her momentum, so you'll get the full.
Well, how much will this cost and when can it get done? This will give you the intent that you're suggesting a collaboration. And you're going to ask, what do you think about this new change? This will help people diffuse and feel like they are validated. And also ask, are there other possibilities that we haven't considered?
Solution oriented. Not being comfortable with the dissension, with the chaos, with the drama, not settling there for too long to where you can't tell where you are anymore. Conflict resolution. What is wrong with coming to an agreement, even if that means to respectfully disagree?
This will refocus on new ideas rather than fixed points of view. So when the smoke has cleared and the stone faces begin to melt, that's time to get a consensus. Once that's completed, you'll have that positive energy going for you. So step 3. Step 3 is to make an agreement. I was told in the interviews that the energy in the room is constantly moving and changing. And once the energy is neutral, that's time to get a consensus in a verbal or written agreement. That's true of business and interpersonal conflicts too.
Get an understanding. Make sure we're clear on the terms so we can agree. So we can come to some type of middle ground where there's a peaceful resolve for everybody that's involved.
I co-mediated a conflict between 3 college roommates. And we discussed everything from who would take out the trash on which days to how they would use the open living space. And even though this was a mediation between friends, we still wrote up a written agreement with specific steps to make sure there was no misunderstandings. I believe that there's a resolution to all conflicts. It just takes a willingness to try.
That part.
Your positive energy that comes from your compassion, empathy, and sincere intentions, and it's your desire that sets it in motion.
In a nutshell, it's got to be authentic. It's got to be genuine. And you can't have any underlying motives. That's called manipulation. You got to be willing, you got to be ready, you got to be open.
So I believe that everyone can use their positive energy to resolve the next conflict in their life. Thank you.
Listen, I don't know, but that blessed me because you know what? At the end of the day, when it comes to conflict resolution, right there beside it resides peace. At least enough of peace to be able to move on, move forward, and move around to something that serves more purpose, that adds more value. Now, I know in the scheme of where we are on a day-to-day basis on these YouTube streets, this may not seem to fit the environment that we're in. I think that's been part of the issue. There needs to be some balance, either gained or regained. And I want to echo something. Shout out to Your Thoughts, to my mods, if you don't mind dropping some links in the chat. We definitely support one another over here. Your Thoughts had a live stream yesterday. If you haven't seen it, please go do so. You'll be losing out if you don't. She started off the live stream and she made us a wonderful point. So we do have some day ones in the sector. We have quite a few. And we have some that maybe aren't or didn't come day one, but they came month 2, month 3, or year 1. This has been a journey, right? With KB being on this thing and then, forming his own sector, even if it's inadvertently, his name sustains this sector, gets a lot of people paid, right? But I remember Kwame talking about, even though he came to the internet speaking on or responding to, after spending his entire career pretty much silent about things that ailed him or things that he had been through, he came to YouTube to respond. But then right after that, there was a shift and there was so many positive panels. The messages were coding and trading. Even though I feel like that shoe drive was, I don't know. I really don't know what to say about that shoe drive, but the intent was there. The intent to do good and help was there. Those were the messages that I received. People had questions about the Black community, and he would open up his platform and his, stage and spend his time, hours upon hours upon hours, sometimes a whole day, allowing people to network, to chop it up, to shoot ideas off of one another. We were not a beef sector. How it transformed to that, I don't even care at this point. Her and I always have discussions, not so much anymore because things have been made more clear recently, but there has been times where Miss Yo and I have had discussions on multiple occasions like, why are we still here? What is the draw? Again, that's still being revealed. Some things some things you got to just know when to let go. But I believe that we can and should do better. I'm talking about individually. I'm talking about on these YouTube streets, off these YouTube streets in real life. Listen. This year that I've been in, 2025, all the way through 2026, is going to be super busy for me in real life. In real life, right? These are things, tools, and implementations that can be applied to my real life. We all can use conflict resolution. We all could use a fresh perspective or idea or ideology attached to everything not being so combative, so confrontational, so disrespectful. There's a lot of disrespect that floats from one location to another on a day-to-day basis in real life and on social media. Just got to make the decision on how you're going to move. Now, I'm not going to be much more long-winded. What I am going to do, even though it's late, is if anybody wants to come up, please feel free to do so. I'll go on mute. I would love to hear some of the wisdom, experiences, plausible solutions that anybody else has to bring to the table. I had to hit that live button. Certain things need to be put out in the atmosphere, recirculated, so people can be refreshed. We need some fresh wind coming through these conversations. Fresh perspectives and fresh outcomes. The cohesiveness and the gel that binds families together to the tribal level seems to elude the Black community on a larger scale than it should be. What are we doing? So, I'm not going to belabor it. I appreciate everybody for coming through. If nobody wants to hit the link, would you say cutting edge? All that encompasses a shift in energy to pray. How many people do we know that openly pray anymore? You're absolutely correct on that. I totally agree with that. We are in agreement. I appreciate everybody for coming through. Hopefully it wasn't too classroomish. It's just kind of how I communicate. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate my relationships. I appreciate my acquaintances. I appreciate everything that happens to me, especially when I'm here to take another breath and live another day. Everything else I always say can be worked out, right? So we are definitely, I think I want to do, well, no, I ain't gonna say it because I know me. If I say it, then I might not do it. So I just won't say it. So if I don't do it, don't know, ain't nobody gonna be able to question me about it. But I'll surprise you. I think I'm gonna do what I wasn't gonna say I was gonna do. So I appreciate. We got Santino in the building. I appreciate you for coming through. Cutting Edge. What you say? Miss Akemi, I love this live, resonates with me as of late. I've really backed away from this app sector, too much evil energy. I don't want that energy. Hence, I'm grateful for lives like this. Amen. Well, I'm glad that I'm able to be a participant in that. I want to go live more. I'm really giving it my effort. I'm trying to figure out something else, as far as scheduling to where I can get it in. Lately, this has been working for me. But I agree with you. I was in the chats earlier. Now I can technically say yesterday. And in several chats, there was a lot of people that have been here from the beginning that was saying that they were ready to walk away altogether and not even stay here. And I can't even say that I don't understand why or that I disagree with them. I've been saying I want to take a break myself. So I take little breaks as far as moderating and this and that, and I put on some music or listen to the word. I've been switching it up. I get it. I think we all should be taking breaks off of this day, especially with all this toxicity going on. Right? So ain't nobody gonna blame you one way or the other. We got my girl Takara Tamara. I appreciate you. Santino in the building. Thank you for being here. What you say? Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you. Look, y'all make it to where I ain't talking to myself, and I appreciate it. I do. So, again, okay, y'all, I appreciate everybody coming through, and we're going to go ahead and head on up out of here. Sleep well to those that are headed to bed. For those that are working, you going to get there, I promise. And look, Monday is just, we can look at it as a refreshed beginning and another opportunity. At least that's where I'm at with it, right? So one more. Okay, I'm gonna read this one and then we gonna conclude. Cutting Edge says, Mr. Kimmy, that's why I love being here, Miss Yo and others chat where everyone's cool or at least cordial and good energy, like Miss Takara and Miss Yo. Yeah, we got a lot of people. All right, Sherry, thank you so much for coming through. Sleep well, because we all getting ready. Well, some of us getting ready to go to bed. No, there's a lot of wonderful people, and I think that's what keeps a lot of us, hanging on. And even the ones that, may be going through something on this thing here, doesn't mean they're not good people. It just means that a lot of them are in a situation, and it'll work itself out. Nothing stays the same. Nothing stays consistent. Everything changes. Everything fluctuates. So, and I've lived it to where I can say it with conviction, right? So with that being said, y'all, I appreciate y'all. And I'll see y'all next time. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.
Box, I built my own lane. Truth's my compass and passion's my flame. One day it's love, the next is new. Sometimes it's pain, sometimes it's the blues. I react, I reflect, I keep it 100. No scripts, no gimmicks, just thoughts unbundled. So if you feel truth, if real is what you see, you just found home. Welcome to Miss Akemi.